Good day everyone and welcome to the second episode of the Music Hub Abuja podcast. Today we have on this podcast Obinna Ubani, who is a lawyer and a music business consultant. He is also the founder of Roots Africa. We also have Temilare Jane Gapsisu, who is an entertainment lawyer and a talent manager. And lastly we have Wuku Mote, who is a music lawyer. In this episode we discuss the roles of the key players in the music industry. Do well to listen, like and share. First thing we want to talk about is who is a manager. Who is a manager? An artist manager.
Like a manager.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, but
I think she gave up the word for this one.
So, an artist manager basically is someone that manages the artist. That's the one, his work, his image, and everything that comes along with it. Now, management is not just an artist manager can be any. There are different kinds of artist managers basically. There is the brand manager, which is kind of almost the most important one. Then there is the personal manager, that's the most common one. Then there's the road manager, and once in a while, most times, the personal manager doubles as the business manager. But in scenarios where the artist is a very big artist, so depending on the amount of money coming in, there's usually a separate business manager. Now, these four managers are usually headed by the personal manager, because the personal manager is almost like second in command to the artist. Then depending on how big the artist, the personal manager can do all this work, or he can decide to create like a proper team. Now, it's ideal for you to create a proper team because even as a small artist, there are some things that, like for instance, I'm a personal manager for someone, and there are some things a lot of things actually that I have to consult. I have to talk to brand managers. I did that recently. I once in a while I have to talk to accountants for business management to understand some things. But ideally there should be like a complete team of 4 managers with one heading all of them.
So the one heading all of them is the personal manager?
Is the personal manager. Now the personal manager does not necessarily have like specific should I say like specific laid out work like the other ones, because the other ones are like niche managers. So his work is more, or her work is more of like a supervisory role. And to an extent, the personal manager is the one that is supposed to be available to the artist 24/7. You get. Now the personal manager is the one, like I said, supervisory role that is going to direct everybody on what to do. But the artist talks to the personal manager. The personal manager now. But then again, this is just like an ideal scenario. Everybody can make different variations according to what works for them.
I also feel like a personal manager helps the artist, like when it comes to decision making.
Yes.
When it comes to like to sign this deal or not to sign, the manager could give advice and all that stuff.
And sometimes some artists refuse to have personal assistants. So a personal manager always ends up doing the work of the PA, running errands and stuff. It's annoying because considering how like the volume of work a personal manager is supposed to do, running errands is almost I don't want to use the word demeaning, because it's not as if those errands are not what's being run or anything. It's just that they take away time from what you're supposed to be using for more important things. So, but an average artist does not want to have a personal assistant. They want their manager to be Alpha and Omega.
So, I want to talk about the roles now. Like we already mentioned a few roles, things that the personal manager should do. So let's go deep into it, like the roles. What do you think are the roles of a personal manager?
As I said, before I start, I wanted to continue. This is coming out of a conversation I had earlier this week. When we're talking about the team, right, we need to understand the fact that there's meant to be a particular vision of everyone in the music industry. And that vision is to bring equity conversation into the transaction we're doing. So if you're coming to the music business, you are coming in with an idea that you are coming in to have an equity in the industry. Like I told you last time, the music industry is actually divided into 3. So we have the recorded music industry, we have the music publishing, we have the live performance. So whichever subsector or segment you want to go into, you must be your team So whether you're an artist, whether you're part of the artist team, so that you're part of the business, you must be thinking about how can I ensure that I bring the foreign exchange in and stays in our continent, and not having a conversation whereby someone gives you money and takes everything out. So we're talking about building the structure, we're talking about building an environment that works for us. Because let's be sincere with ourselves. No matter how much a foreign company promises you, their interest is more paramount to them than yours. And what's the interest? To make money, to make revenue. And what don't do that money? They won't take it back to their own country, to their own country. So whatever we're doing, we should think about trying to ensure that whatever money we're bringing, we're making out of our brand, let at least 80% stay in the country.
Yeah.
So part of the question you're asking me now is like the role of a personal manager. I would say, like she said, that we have the managers, right? But if I'm to start with the personal manager, what I would say is that a personal manager is more like someone that handles the schedule of an artist. So he or she creates a schedule and let the artist know where they're going to be by this time tomorrow, what's going to happen today, what event is he meant to go to, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I believe a personal manager also plays the role of an advisor, right? So most times, when it comes to making strategic decisions, it's actually more of like the artists and the personal manager that sit down and discuss.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing about it is that no matter how an expert will tell you this is how it's meant to be, this is how you're going to do it, the final decision lies on you. So you are going to sit down and decide within yourself if this is the right path for you. And this takes me back to what I discussed last time. You have to know the purpose of your business. What's the purpose of why are you an artist? Right? Are you an artist because you want to have the girls and go to nice hotels and the girl I'm saying, people like that, it's not a bad thing too. Right? But the purpose must be clarified. So even those coming in to work with you as members of the team must know your purpose. So I think the most important person that will drive home this conversation is the personal manager.
Yeah.
So whoever wants to be personal manager will be someone that knows the business well.
Yeah.
Right? You know the business well, because most of the decisions that are going to be made by the artist lies on you.
Yeah.
Right? So apart from being an advisor, I think a personal manager also serves as a brand builder, right? So most of the conversations, most of the connections, most of the plugs in the music industry is held by the personal manager, right? And it's actually more of the person trying to build that conversation. Yeah. So that's personal managers. But when it goes to like other managers, business managers, road managers, I actually believe like the most important person after the personal manager is the business manager. I'm not talking about for managers.
Yeah.
No. It's the business manager, but the business managers, how do I put it? Like, at least she said something earlier about we have having someone acting both as a personal manager and a business manager.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay, it's cool, right? But I don't think it's the right thing to do.
I think it depends on the size of the team to start with.
I don't think it really depends on the size, because it ought, like I said earlier, is your purpose, right? If you're going to if you're trying to build a brand, you understand, that will cut across territories. If you want to build a brand that will attract investors to come and invest in your brand, then you have to start building that structure from the beginning. You understand? I know it's very hard for you to get a business manager to work with you, right? Fine and good, but then what you should know is this: if you have already built a structure that I want a business manager, right? Some way, somehow, somebody will fit to that particular portfolio. And this is what people don't understand. Because I say I want a business manager, doesn't mean that when it comes to the music industry, there's a particular place you go to and you get business managers. It doesn't work that way, right? People are being trained to be part of this stuff, right? They build themselves, they build themselves to be a business manager in the music industry. One of the renowned business managers we have in Nigeria is called Uton, right? But before that, Uton did not go to school to read business management. That's what they call it in school. And even when it says even when they managed MI, he was not managing MI as a business manager. You understand? But as he developed, you understand, he found his brand and he stepped in towards it. So even as you are trying to build a structure for yourself, try to look out for those persons in the music industry, either within the same range of development as you are, that are trying to build a particular specification for themselves. So either a lawyer, or go to music law, or a person that will go to business management. The idea, just have to look out for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So, sorry, I just want to put in something back. You talked about structure and how a business manager is important at the beginning. Don't you think a brand manager comes first in sense of like not importance, but in terms of foundation? Because like a brand manager will help you find the right direction. Then the business manager enforces that. Do you understand?
Yeah,
So it's like the brand manager helps with the structure. And basically creates an environment that is good enough for the business manager to be able to work like productively. Don't you think?
to be honest with you, I don't really think if I'm part of a team, I don't really think I need to have a brand manager. And I'm coming to that. I'll tell you why. And this is why. Like, if you are building a career plan for an artist, right? The most strategic members of that team will be there. Everyone will be there. Personal manager, the lawyer, the business manager, you understand, the person in charge of PR and publicity, you understand. And I believe that when it comes to brand management, it's actually based on what's the career plan that you have built for the artist, the team has built for the artist, right? That will build the conversation we will have, right? Now, if I have a PR team, right, I can actually say, you know what, when it comes to brand management, right, I have a PR team. I'm getting it wrong, but this is what I think.
Yeah.
My PR team should handle this brand reputation and brand management.
And let me pause you there. Indirectly, you are still saying that brand management comes in at the beginning.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that necessarily one person has to have the title of brand manager. I'm saying that brand management is fundamental to any other structure that's going to build on it. For instance, imagine if an artist, basically, let me put it this way: a brand for an artist is the identity for the artist, and it's that identity they're now going to use and sell. So basically, like whether it's the PR team, just a single publicist, or maybe a hired publicist, whoever they are, whether it's like a PR company that they just hire once in a while. My point is, no matter who it is, that brand management plan has to come in first. Because even as the personal manager, the first question you usually ask is, okay, what do you want to do? Like, okay, what do you imagine yourself being like in 5 years from now? You get, how do you want to appear? That's where you have conversation about dressing, about the sound, like the genre of music, things like that. In the end of everything, it's like brand management is what carves the identity before you can now start cashing out of it. That's why I'm saying that brand management comes first, not necessarily. However, when you mentioned PR, it made me take note of the fact that it doesn't have to be a person, like it doesn't have to be a title. Initially,
that's my
yes,
point.
It doesn't have to be a title, because in all honesty, but to be realistic, especially as someone that's not even earning, for instance, an average artist that's probably not earning more than $100 like every month, you can't be thinking about, like, you have to think, okay, if I'm earning $100, how much am I going to be paying every single person on the team? Because most times managers live by commission, not by salary. You get it. Though sometimes for I know a few people that pay their business managers salaries instead of commissions. Yes. So what I'm saying is, initially at the beginning stage, you are not thinking of building a full team. You are thinking of, okay, there's a PR company I know, they will handle my PR. There's a road management company. Anytime I'm on tour, anytime I want to do anything, they will handle my road management. So it's not like you necessarily have to even have 4 people that will carry those titles, or probably with like a badge or anything. Yeah. It's just their functions should be done at the beginning. I think that's basically.
I think about the idea. What I was actually more concerned about was someone handling that as. I feel like when it comes to this brand management, everyone on the team is going to know what's
involved in it.
Yes, because a time would come when whatever you're doing, your staff must
be in line
with the brand projection of that artist, right? So, secondly, I'm not about the money, because obviously I'm a boy, right? So I believe that I can't be paying you, right, for brand protection, come on, I don't feel like it's. I know it's very important for me to do that,
Yeah.
but I don't think I can pay one person.
This is your work.
This is your work. Like it is a lot,
Yeah.
right? Because like she said earlier, some artists have not started making up to 1,000 USD every month, right? So even if you're going to talk about on the long run, when the money comes in, you have to clear all the debt you have made during the, like, let me see, the last 5 or 6 years you have been working somewhere.
Yeah.
You understand? As someone comes and tell you, you're owing me ₦1 million, I'm like, what exactly was the work? Like, okay, I'm in charge of the brand protection and brand. I'm like, okay, you live here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that everyone needs to be involved in. I don't have any problems with being a brand manager.
Yeah.
Don't
I
get
think
me wrong, but I believe that.
from what you said, I think the major thing I've even picked out is the fact that, okay, before you even start talking about titles, you get, first of all, we should find out, okay, what are the things that the artist needs, you get. And the best way, obviously, is to like mention the titles, then now bring out their job descriptions, and now ask yourself, okay, can one person do all, like at the beginning, and for how long? Then, if it's not possible, you cannot ask yourself, can 2 people do all? You start from the personal manager. Then, if the personal manager is good with brand, like planning and everything, then there's really no point getting a separate brand manager. So I think the most important thing, first of all, is to make sure that all their job descriptions are covered, regardless of the titles.
Yeah,
Then the bigger you grow, there's a size, or should I say, there's a height you can reach that you actually need bureaucracy to be able to handle like everything, because you'll be thinking of publishing, you'll be thinking of image rights, like, and everything might be too much. Then you can now need like a big team. But I think from what he said, you don't need somebody with that title.
Okay. I know you have
And initially, like, she was much of them saying.
Okay. So let's say an artist now wants to get a personal manager, and he's searching what are the features he should look out for before saying this person should be my manager.
I don't know in what order to arrange them, but one of the most important things is someone that knows how to negotiate.
Okay.
Because even if because a lot of times most people pick their maybe their brother, their cousin.
Yeah, for a start.
Yeah, for a start. So I'm going to start discussing from like an unknown person before I can now go to a megastar. So from an unknown person, you have to look for someone that knows how to talk, someone that can hold their own in a conversation, not someone that, well, let me put it in simple English, someone that knows how to price. Because if you don't know how to price in the market, you won't be able to price in the boardroom either. Like, you won't be able to negotiate properly in the boardroom. So you need to know someone that knows how to stand there. You need to find someone that can stand their ground before you can now think about the knowledge that the person has. Now, on the knowledge side of it, you need to have someone that actually understands the whole music. Even if the person doesn't have any deep person obviously doesn't have a degree in music or management or anything. Someone that at least has an idea who is who in the industry, then that one will now lead you to someone that actually has connections. Yeah. So now it's either the person already has connections or the person knows how to farms. Like the person knows how to just glue themselves to people, and the person is likable. So someone like that is as a start, that's the best person. Now, by the time you're a megastar, you start thinking about someone that already has a track record. So who the person has managed, what the person has done, how far, and you also look at the educational side of it. Has the person developed after the person started managing? So, for instance, now the perfect example in Nigeria is Godwin. You see everything he does, but he's teaching. You can tell that obviously he's also learning every day. You get so an average person will have more confidence in him than in any other talent manager, artist manager. So I think from those basic skills, then for a mega star, you need a good track record and development, proof of development. Basically.
You have anything to add to the features needed to?
I think one of the most important things is someone that knows the music business. Right.
That's your bottom
line.
I
actually believe it's very important. You must know the music business.
Yeah.
And
if I ask him now, features of a booking agent, he'll say he must know the music business. I
believe that we have come to that point in our industry whereby value is very important, right? You must know the music business before you understand what you're doing. Because I don't have to say this, but I've been in a situation whereby people are more focused on how much are they giving me,
Yeah.
right? How much are they giving me, than how much are they taking from me.
Okay.
You must be able to know how much they're giving you, your artist or your brand. So, for instance, I told you my brand, but if you're part of a team, that's your brand. So, you must know how much they're taking from your brand. And it's not about monetary compensation, right? It's all about equity conversation. And the issue is this: when people talk about features, right? Like she said now, you must not negotiate. Well, why can negotiate for you well? You don't know what she's doing.
Yes.
And it is someone that knows the connection. Someone can sell that plug and still don't know what to do with it, right? The most important thing is, do you know the industry you are in? And it's not about you knowing, okay, I know this person, I know this person. I know MTV Base does this. I know this does this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the normal background knowledge of the music industry. Do you really know what it takes to generate revenue for the music industry? I know it's not easy for someone to sit down and understand the music business, right? But if you are trying to build a brand, your own personal brand, as a personal manager, either you want to work independently or work as an artist, right? I don't like Atasika, or don't like Odunton, or don't like Osagi. You must be able to understand the fact that it takes a lot to be on that projection, you revision every day, right? So even as you're working for the artist, you also work on yourself, and that goes to that value.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to an artist, the most important, if I'm someone that's an artist and you come to be the person manager, I would try to have a music industry conversation with you. I would like to know whether you even understand the different segments in the music industry. Can you even build a business plan, right? I'm a lawyer, right? But I've built a lot of business plans for artists on emerging markets, and that's because my brand does that, right? And I didn't just go to school. I didn't learn it in school. What was my Nigerian university now? So I didn't learn it in school. I have developed, right? Built it. So whenever I talk about the music business, I know what I'm talking about.
I understand.
Because a time will come when this music industry in Africa will be number one in the world. If you ever gone through International Phonographic Industry Association, right, and you look at their statistics, you will know that they don't have any stats for Nigeria and for Africa at all. Never. And these are those points that investors look at before coming in. So yes, we have Universal Music Group in Africa and Nigeria. We have Sony in Africa and Nigeria. But those guys are just working based on stats that someone brought to them, right?
Yeah.
And they believe these stats, but they're not 100% certain that this stat is actually what it is. Because we're not even recognized as an industry by the Phonographic Association, which is like the number one association in the world that has to do with recorded music industry, right? So that's the problem. So I think the most important thing, everything she says is okay. But for me, I want to just emphasize on that knowledge of the music business.
Okay, sorry. The knowledge of music business, you mean the peculiarities in Africa or like generally in the world?
I think if for you have to know generally.
Yes.
Right? But I think I don't want you just think something else. I don't know about, but I think she knows generally what the music is all about.
Okay.
Right? So she knows the most important things, like she knows what it means to be signed to record label.
Yeah.
She knows what those clauses are. For a personal manager, yes.
Yes.
She knows what an advance means.
Yes.
She knows what it means to be black point, red point. She knows what she means. She knows what it means to be what a publishing company does, right?
Yes.
And position to have. You should also know, if you know this general stuff, right? But then you should also understand the fact that most of what applies in the US don't apply here in Nigeria.
Okay, so the person should have both knowledge.
Both knowledge.
Okay.
But if I'm putting a scale of 100, I think you know more of 60% African, 40% general. Because
since that's the market you are working
yes, and apart from that being the market you're working, we are trying, everyone, either directly, we're all trying to work towards building the African music industry to be that point where we can be able to say we have done something, no matter how little our effort is, right? So this is where you are. You must help us build it where you want to be, right? And even if you're going to focus more on handling US clients or UK clients for Nigeria, it's okay. right? But then you should also try to understand the fact that any conversation you have when it comes to money or contract, don't think only about your artist. Think about, with this particular conversation, block other emerging artists that want to come into this particular market. Am I in a way trying to bring down my own industry just to make money?
Okay.
Right? And that is not how it's meant to be. So the market first, the industry first before any other person. And that's why if you go back to the US, they have a lot of concessions. Try to checkmate how money comes and goes out.
Yes.
Understand? And we don't have that in Nigeria. The only collective sector of Nigeria is actually more talk about Kuson, or talk about music corporate sector of Nigeria, or talk about music publishers association of Nigeria, EMPAN. But even at that, people don't really understand those associations and what they do. You understand? So a lot of things that in Nigeria is based on trial and error. So everyone is trying to get somewhere because there's no structure. There's structure. Sorry, there's a structure. But the awareness, you understand, and the implementation of strategies that have been laid down is long term. And people are actually quite allergic to change. I don't know why, this industry too. So that's what I mean by someone that knows. So you must be able to know the music industry.
I agree.
I have a few questions here, and the purpose of this question is so that we'll have, at the end of this conversation, we'll be able to answer these questions. We can talk so much and
all the time.
we can talk.
I can see the shade.
Yeah, we can talk so much and just talk so much. So, you said earlier that managers are paid commissions, not necessarily salaries. Yeah. So, as an artist now that I have a manager, what percentage of my revenue do you think should go to the manager?
Well, first of all, it depends on the size of the artist. When I say size, I mean like how much value he has, how much money he's bringing per time. Why I mention that is because depending on your size, you can now talk about your bargaining power.
Yeah.
Now, ordinary, and again, depends on what exactly the manager is going to be doing. So now, if you have one as maybe as an incoming artist, you have a manager that does everything for you. He does business management, does the road management, personal management, brand management. He does all in all. Ideally, you should be talking about 30%. I've worked on some contracts whereby the person did everything except road management and the person got 20. Now, in some for like bigger artists, you hear 12.5%, 15%, but at the end of everything, it goes down to bargaining power.
Yeah.
How much value, like he kept on emphasizing how much value you actually bring to the table, and most times the way you can determine how much value person will bring is how much value person has brought before. That's based on who the person has worked with, where the person has worked. You see the person's network and things like that. These are things that will now build up what you can now call the person's bargaining power. So in the end of everything, because there is no law saying this is the manager's cost, it's a thing of it's a thing of bargaining power. But in the end of everything, it's usually around the 30% bracket. Now, there are some scenarios where the manager is like a super mega star, like he manages a lot of big names, or he has managed a lot of big names and he has like had a lot of successes, and the person he's working on is an unknown person, cannot afford to like at all. Basically, in that scenario where the artist doesn't has like zero bargaining power, you can hear about like 60-40 as much as that. So in the end, it just depends on the power balance.
Yeah. Okay.
And more like I want to like emphasize on what she said about the value, right? And she said 30%. I'm very stingy in commission.
You mean on the side of the artist or on the side of the manager?
On the side of the artist. I'm very stingy with commission. Because I've seen a lot of people whereby people are actually very quick to demand for money.
Yes.
I want 50% net revenue. I'm like,
Really?
okay. But then the most, I don't really, I'm going to point that when you talk about commission rates for managers, the standard for personal managers are actually between 1 to 50%.
1 to 15?
Yes,
1%.
1 to 50%.
We'll take 1%.
Let's say no to you.
We'll take 1%.
50%. Well, just give you this thing, a former But that's like standard, but doesn't really mean. It's a negotiation, right?
Yeah.
If you're able to negotiate more than that. And I would advise, if on the part of the artist, right, if someone is coming to work with you as a manager and is demanding 15%, 20%, 30%, the first question you ask yourself is, what value would this manager add? Because we're in an industry for business. So what business can you bring for me? Or what business model can you design for the brand that would bring money to the brand now or on the long run? So don't come and tell me to give you 30% and then wish that I'll just sign that document. No. You're able to prove. And this way, this funny enough, even if you come to ask 5%, I actually ask for the same thing. But I believe a percent is something. It might not be now, but the long run is something.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm going to work with you on the long run, you and I have to sit down and understand the plan. So what's the plan? What the business model you're building as a personal manager? So how are we going to get here? Right? You must be able to prove that to me. Because it's just like an investor coming in, right? There's things that we have to clear out before we actually have a handshake and agree to have an agreement. And that's part of the negotiation too. So if you tell me 30%, okay, no problem with it. So what are you bringing to the table?
Exactly.
Right? And you don't only tell me, oh, I have contact with so person. Okay, so how are you going to build it? How do I come in? You understand? And there's something that Tom said earlier, and I actually picked that out. He actually stated that before he agrees to manage any artist, there's always a probational period. Now in that probational period, he used that to reach out to his contacts to find them. Oh, I'm working with this person. They're not public yet. But I'm working with this person. So how can we get business? Right? That's how we do it. How can I make it happen? Those are the things that we need. So when you come down and say, look, I want 30% of the revenue, you have been able to make a PowerPoint presentation to show me, look at how I'm going to build this brand for where it is now, to where I want it to be. Look at the brands I know, and I've spoken with them. I will think I'll make this happen. Understand? And these are how you make the business work. The issue I have in Nigeria, the issue I have in Africa, is that most times people that are actually going to the music industry don't even know the business, don't even know the way you do the business. So they go ahead giving away percentages. You give someone 50%, and tomorrow you give another 50%. How much percentage do you have as a human being giving out 100%? You know what I'm saying? So when the money comes into the picture, and you give out all the you deduct all your expenses, you realize that you don't have much money back home with it. And that is what comes in. Oh, this guy was signed for 10 million or 20 million and he's claiming he doesn't have money. What happened? But it's not about when you are signed. It's about those conversations you've had from the first day you said, I want to be an artist. And you said within yourself. To that point you are now, how much have you lost? And that's talk about an accountant, right? So a good business, a good personal manager must also be a good accountant. In your mind, you must know how much equity of your artist is already out. It's not called and say, oh, I want to invest in the artist and I want to have like 30% of the net. You ask them how much percentage is actually remaining for my artist. How much have I given out? Understand? So I don't want to go long about
Can you throw some light on the difference between the gross, taking from the gross revenue and taking from the net revenue?
So like when you talk about the growth means when the money comes in, let me give you a practical scenario. When the money comes in, so before you deduct any expenses you have made, right? During the point of and before, like if you're doing a project now, so before you deduct all the expenses for logistics and all that, right? You have to pay those that work with you. Understand? But the net means, look, I have to deduct all third-party expenses that I've made to get here.
The one that's left.
Whatever is left, right? The net. Well, from that net, I'll pay you.
Pay you the certain percentage.
That we have agreed on, right? So, and I always advise that when it comes to the artist side, anyways,
Yeah.
that is always on net.
Yeah.
When it comes to the manager side, they need a new clock and say, no, let's give me that cross.
So it depends on where you are
Depends on
working.
how we're working with.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll do just of them.
So I guess it goes back to bargaining power.
Yeah, it does, it really does.
And like you mentioned, value.
It really does. Value and bargaining power is very important to determine commission you pay.
Okay. So let's talk about the term of years. How many years do you feel like when the manager comes in, you draft a formal agreement. So how many years agreement do you feel like it's good to sign a manager, like have a manager?
It depends on each side
Each.
you're talking about.
So I feel like the artist,
Yeah, because the artist that is only one less. Less, and
the manager one more.
more. But in second light, it also depends on the manager too.
Yes.
Because if it's a superstar manager, that will want more. Why the manager will want less? Because it's not actually sure this guy will blow. You understand? But then it's actually more about it's still based
Same
on
answer.
bargaining power, right?
And
Are
value.
you able to? What value are you bringing to the table as an artist? You have that prospect to make it. You understand? So for artists, for managers to say, you know what, I will take a long duration to work with you. But if I am to work on a contract, to be on the safe side, there's no safe side in this thing. But if I'm to make an agreement that will benefit both parties, I think I will give it 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
3 years with an option to renew. But the option to renew is based on agreement between both parties, not automatic.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So I think we have said a lot about personal managers. We didn't go much into business managers, but I want us to talk about lawyers, attorneys in this music business space. Like everybody here is is a lawyer. So I think let's talk about what are the duties of. I don't want us to go into defining who a lawyer is, but what are the duties of a lawyer in this music business space? For me, I feel like it comes under 3 headings: draft, negotiate, and review.
Yeah. I think that covers, but that does not really cover all, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because in the industry we are now, but
Contract.
let's do those stuff. Right? Let's do those stuff. Whereas our personal managers, indirectly,
Yeah, I'm talking about
contracts.
if you want to do
Okay, you
your work.
mean specifically a lawyer's job, not a particular person that is a lawyer and those other things.
Yeah. So if I'm here to be a lawyer,
What are you supposed to be expected of you?
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the kind of lawyer you are. So, but I believe that there are actually 2 lawyers that are actually in the artist team.
Okay.
Actually, you have litigation, you have transaction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have the transaction, you are meant to understand. You are meant to understand the music business well. I say it again. That means you understand advances.
Yeah.
Understand when your client is in red, when your client is in black, how to analyze accounting records, right? You also understand what it means to give out, to assign, transfer ownership, right? And what's the gist about music publishing.
Yeah.
So like I said, there are 3 segments of this industry. You must know all. You must be able to know what goes on in all. And then you must be able to have a good contact. So you must have a good contact or network of other lawyers that have been in the industry before you. Because you cannot know it all.
Yeah.
A time will come when you have to reach out to someone for an advice or someone that will give you. You know, that's the way I believe that everyone takes templates once in a while. You don't have the best templates, and you don't know how to review the best contracts. But you must be able to have someone that can help you out. That's a professional lawyer. For a education lawyer, obviously you must know how to work with a professional lawyer. But as a education lawyer, your own experts when it comes to the court, right? But then when it comes to getting the gist of the whole document and the whole contract agreement, it has to be the international lawyer. So there must be a quality relationship between the international lawyer and the education lawyer.
Yeah. So for an artist now that needs one lawyer, you know, it's only very big artists that will afford to get 2 lawyers in their team. So which is the most ideal?
The international lawyer is very important.
So it comes back with the draft review
The
and
international lawyer can draft and can review.
I can
It takes
negotiate.
a lot of time for someone to go to court.
Yeah.
And the issue is this: the court is like I don't believe an artist should even go to court.
Yeah. Not to mention that.
Yeah, because you need to try to understand that there are a lot of automatic disposition mechanism. There's an ADR mechanism. you can use to solve any dispute you have with him.
Yes.
Because the more you go to court, the more you're telling future investors that I have trouble, or my brand is trouble. Because that's just because investors don't like going to court. So whatever you're doing, you have to
especially in Nigerian court.
Yeah, so. But then, like your question is that it could be based on the question. I think the first person, the transaction lawyer. Most times, most transaction lawyers actually have partnership with litigation lawyers. So whatever comes to them, they shift.
Okay, so there are times when, because of the scarcity of lawyers in court, sometimes one lawyer has to represent various artists. So how do you handle conflict of interest when it comes to?
Well, okay, first of all, before I even go to artists, I want you to understand that in terms of lawyers, the principles guiding an entertainment lawyer is the same principle guiding general practitioners. There's nothing special, it's just an issue of industry. So for instance, like he said, first of all, he said that a transactional lawyer should come first before a litigation lawyer. The reason is very simple. A lawyer's job is not to go to court. A lawyer's job is to, an ideal lawyer's job is to make sure that you have no problem that will make you go to court. And if you ever have to go to court, you have good representation. And even as you have good representation, you make sure that that case is dealt with as soon as possible. So ordinarily, in an ideal society, going to court or even any form of dispute resolution is the last resort. That's for every kind of legal case, now not just entertainment law. So now bringing it back to entertainment law, or before I even bring it back, now for the issue of conflict of interest, as a lawyer that is practicing, whether regardless of the industry, when you start reaching or when you start signing clients, there's usually your retainer will actually have to mention the issue of conflict of interest. And most times what happens is that you give notice. Now in scenarios where there are actually scenarios, especially with maybe like property, land matters, where you end up representing both parties. And one day you now realize that, okay, one of your clients wants to buy land from the other client. So what do? You don't just drop both, or you don't necessarily have to pick a side. What happens, the most important thing first is make sure you give both of them notice that this is what's happening. So transparency is the most important thing first. Then what happens in property cases many times is that, especially for sale, there are many times where it's the same lawyer that drafts everything, and both of them will come and have a round table sitting where they discuss each clause one by one. Now that is for land matters. It's the same principle that now happens in the entertainment industry. However, there are cases where if it starts to get hostile, where people are now trying to, it's no longer an issue of let's just smoothing, this is a deal we want to just sign. When it gets to the point where I'm trying to protect this person is trying to protect this. Now what you are going to do is that you have to advise your clients that, since you've already given them notice, you cannot, most likely you're probably working for somebody or working with other lawyers, you go back, consult, and you can now choose. Most times you choose the person you start working with first, or you choose the person who gives you more revenue. You get, but I mentioned the person you start working with first because loyalty and integrity, they're like your complimentary card.
Very paramount.
Exactly, it's very paramount. People need to be able to know that you are reliable before they need to know that you can bring money. You get. So most times, what happens is that you go with the person. That's in the event where where you feel like you have to choose. But ideally, if two of your clients are fighting, you should not be involved. Both of them should have independent representation. But then again, there's no law governing this. This is pure human. It's ethics, yes, and it's pure human will. So in the end of everything, people have different interests. You have to remember that lawyers are human beings, so they have their personal interest. For instance, now this artist, let me say, one of my clients might be an investor that is probably furnishing the career of many of my other clients. You get, and this other client only comes to me for minor issues, contract issues, and the rest. Even if this one has been my day one client and everything, my mind will want to go to the other person. Now, I'm bringing the human factor into everything. So you have to consider that. But ideally, in an ideal scenario, you should not even be involved, especially if you intend to keep both of them as your clients long term.
And to add what she said, you should also understand the fact that before you claim to be my client, I must have a relationship agreement with you.
Yes.
If there is no relationship agreement with you, you're not my client.
Okay.
So So if they come to
Can
me
you
once in a
throw a
while,
little more light to
what they mean that
yeah.
you must have agreed with me that within this duration of time, I'm going to handle all your legal issues or all your legal services, right?
Yeah.
That means I'm working for you independently as an independent contractor, working together. But if there's no such agreement, so you come to me once in a while to draft this for you, to review this contract for you, there's no agreement, so you pay me based on that service rate.
Yeah.
I'm not technically.
So what are the benefits of being under like a retainership agreement?
It saves you money, right? If you look at paying someone for every transaction and paying the person once a year or 2 years or 3 years, I think it saves you a lot of money. Because you don't really know what to come up. But because you always have an agreement with the person must be able to go through. Yes, and so I think the first thing is for us to understand the fact that a client does not only mean because you come to me every time to draft a review. If I don't have an agreement with you, that clearly states you're my client.
Yes.
Technically, you're not my client. Right. And to add to what she said again, ethics is very important. Right. And I think that's what is lacking in this industry. People don't do things professionally. And it's because all of us are just trying to get money. And it's not like money is a bad thing, but then we should also understand the fact that the money aspect comes second to you being professional. Because people are looking at you, people are watching what you're doing. And if you're acting in a way that shows that you don't really care about people around you, or just about your own selfish interest, people won't work with you in the long run. You end up not being anybody again. So I think that's also that will happen to it.
Okay, so you have said a lot.
Sorry.
Okay.
There's something he said, and I feel like he didn't talk about it very well. It's very important, like little gold. He said that he talked about saving money in the long run, you get, because once you pay a lawyer once in a year, compared to paying a lawyer for every little document that is brought to your it's brought to your table, in the end of everything, you realize that paying just like one-off payments is actually better. Now, the other thing I want to bring back to what I said before, in the sense that the lawyer's job is to make sure that you don't have issues in the first place. Not your lawyer. The sign of a good lawyer is not someone that is always busy. It's someone that makes your life easy. Like you don't have any.
Also make money for you.
Exactly. Someone that the only thing you're getting is checks. Not that you're always on table trying to fight, or because a lot of people have that in their mind that a lawyer is supposed to be like a fighter. But the truth is, a lawyer is supposed to prevent those things from happening in the first place. And if you have someone on retainer, what happens now is that the issues that ordinarily that bring into the lawyer's table every 2 weeks or every month will not even come up, because the lawyer will take measures, especially in cases of maybe corporate compliance, some government policies. So in the end of everything, you realize that retainership is way more important.
The lawyer has your back when you sign an agreement with him, like a watchdog. Or if you don't have an agreement with the lawyer, he's not a watchdog. Just someone that comes to visit you, a dog that comes to visit you once in a while.
So let's talk about, this thing was supposed to last 40 minutes. It's already 40 minutes. So let's talk about the last topic. Like, not the last part, but we'll end it here for today. How is a lawyer paid? Especially, let's talk about from the aspect of an artist that doesn't have money. How do you pay a lawyer?
Commission rate.
Just like a manager.
Commission rate. If you cannot pay a lawyer upfront payment, or you cannot live up to that expectation to pay your yearly retainership agreement fee, I think I'm having a commission rate agreement.
Okay.
So whatever proceed that comes out of any transaction, the lawyer has a cut, right? So what the lawyer does is the lawyer keeps the bill of charge and always updates it. So when the time comes, he gives you that bill of charge. You know how much you are going to pay in that. So apart from that commission rate, the lawyer can agree on amount to pay you, amount you pay the lawyer every year. But what happens is this: the lawyer can keep updating. So whenever I start making money,
yearly or monthly?
Yearly. So you can say, I'll pay you 100,000 every year to handle my legal services. I'm just giving you an assumption.
Okay.
That's what I think. So if you pay 100,000 if maybe you don't have the money with you, but it keeps the lawyer keeps operating his bill of charges. So when the time comes, when you have money to pay, then pay everything.
Yeah.
Also, there's also a situation where the lawyer can say, you know what, I've seen this happen a lot.
Okay.
If the relationship agreement, let's say the lawyer is taking 100,000, and no lawyer takes 100,000 from you, or let the lawyer know what he's doing for a year as partnership. I'm not saying.
I'm just
I'm
let
not
me
saying.
say
So
that.
if the lawyer agrees to take 100,000 as a relationship agreement or X amount, let's get X amount,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, for a year, right? The lawyer can agree, okay, pay me instrumentally.
Yes.
Pay me the first quarter, can pay me the second half, or the last quarter.
Okay. Will you prefer a lawyer to be on salary or be paid commission?
Depends on what the lawyer wants.
Depends on negotiation too. Yeah.
Negotiation, but I don't believe a lawyer should take salary.
Salary.
It's not.
No, the way you kept on
It's not
hammering on
healthy.
100,000
No,
X amount.
what I'm saying is not salary.
Okay.
It's an annual payment.
Okay.
That's what we call partnership agreement. It's an annual payment.
Okay.
So you don't pay it every month. You pay it once. It's meant to be paid once.
Yes.
And always first quarter of the year.
Yeah.
Right? But the reason why I thought about paying half first and second quarter is because it reduces the financial pressure on you to pay once. So you can pay half first quarter of the year. You can pay the remaining half of that month second quarter of the year. That way you're not being choked when it comes to moving that lump sum out of your bank account.
And I want to add to the lawyer's employment. The lawyer's employment is a lawyer ideally works for a law firm. That's traditionally you get. So the lawyer cannot be a staff of a law firm and a staff of a private organization. It doesn't work that way. Do you get? And the thing is, if you're a staff of an organization, you cannot represent the organization in court.
Yeah.
So what you're doing now is that you have put the lawyer in the box of being not just a transactional lawyer this time around, you've made the lawyer indirectly your company secretary.
Okay.
So in the end of everything, what people think is actually like when people say my lawyer, you're not paying your lawyer salary, you're paying your lawyer a retainer. Like it's extremely different because the lawyer works for a law firm. Now whether the lawyer is a partner there or it's a sole proprietorship or the lawyer is a staff, whatever, the lawyer doesn't work for you. The lawyer is more of an independent contractor.
Yes.
So that's what a lawyer is. So now in the event that you want to have when you say you are having a lawyer in your team, unlike for instance now your PA is on salary, but your manager is on commission, and your manager has, depending on your contract, yes, depending on your contract, your manager most likely has the liberty to also represent other people. It's the same thing with your lawyer. Your lawyer has the liberty to represent as many people as possible. So the moment you start paying your lawyer salary, you've told your lawyer that this lawyer, you're not working for any other human being on the face of it. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's just wanted to clear that.
Right. So do you have anything, because the way you're looking, the way your face is,
I
like you don't agree.
I agree with her. There's also a scenario whereby a lawyer can represent both the artist and the manager.
Yeah.
And then so it's all about the professional conduct in this. That's the part of the lawyer.
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Right. So we're supposed to talk about road manager and booking agent, but we'll leave that to the next time we'll have a conversation. Thank you for listening. Do well to like, share, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the future episodes where we'll talk more on music